Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin.
And I'm your co-host, Dean, with a bit of
Enjoy.
a sore throat.
Yes, a little bit of a sore throat.
Oh yeah.
Joining us today, all the way from Camp Crystal Lake, Thom Mathews and CJ Graham.
Right.
Today, we're going to be talking all things Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason Lives. Jason, Tommy Vargas. So, Tom, DJ, thank you guys so much for being here. And this is an extremely important episode, I think, for anybody to listen to or watch. Having two legends here in the horror sphere, and also Friday the 13th. It's an honor, really. So thank you both for taking the time out of your days to come and chat with Dean.
My pleasure. Our pleasure.
And it's honestly been something that we've been looking forward to, I think, all week. Really, Dean. Like we've been chatting
Yeah.
to Jay's wife Ruby and talking to Tom and meeting CJ a couple months ago. It's been a wild ride, and now we're here.
Yeah. Well, I think I messaged Tom. I was speaking to you online sometime last year, and you sent me over your email address, and then I think the same with Ruby for you, CJ. And then I kind of never got anything together. And then we were kind of looking for guests for the new year. And then I said to Dustin, "Hey, Friday the 13th is coming up. Why don't we try and get Tom and CJ?" He was like, "That'll never happen." I was like, "We can try." And here you guys are. So yeah, no,
CJ and I like hanging out together still, so that's
yeah, no. Thank
we
you so
enjoy,
much for coming on,
we
guys.
enjoy
Anyway, yeah,
doing the conventions together. It gives us an opportunity to hang out and
yeah, right,
it's very nostalgic, and it's been quite a
yeah,
ride.
man,
Yeah, it's awesome, and
definitely.
seeing you guys on the convention circuit and everything else,
Yeah.
really actively is really amazing. There's a lot of people that kind of do the convention circuit for just a little bit, but then you see legends like yourselves are doing it as much as they possibly can, and it's great to see.
Well, I mostly because the fans, if they had already forgotten about us and didn't care, or the next generation, like your son, we probably wouldn't be out there either, to be honest. We'd out there and grab it and then run with it. But I know that with Tom's background and his resume is huge. It goes back so far that it has become legendary, as you said. Not to mention, it just has a fan base that's unbelievable. Not just from the Friday the 13th, but Tom's resume itself.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah, for me going to the shows, it's I put it off not doing it for a long, long time, and then I finally started doing them and just meeting everybody and just the heartfelt sincerity from in their voices, and they remember and they got into whatever part of filmmaking or makeup or whatever, special effects or acting, or and how it impacted their lives 30 plus years ago. It's just crazy and amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, that is awesome.
it really, really is. And I guess to before we start talking about everything that's going on now, is I always like kind of like bring our guests back to kind of the beginning. So CJ, I wanna start with you and kind of ask like how acting or being a stunt performer kind of started with you. Did it happen
I'd like to
when?
say that I
Go ahead.
say it again.
Nope. Go ahead. You're good.
I'd like to say that I went to school like Tom and studied hard, but unfortunately, mine was just pure oops, stumbled and fell into it, head on. And was fortunate enough to do a project of this magnitude because nobody knows my face and nobody hears my voice. It's just a physical structure, which in itself can be challenging because you don't get to voice yourself or show facial expressions. But at the same time, if it hadn't been so iconic with Alice Cooper and Thom Mathews and a lot of the other actors and actresses, wouldn't be having this conversation. So I'm kind of the one that, they always say you just got lucky. I'm the first one to look you in the mirror and say, I got lucky.
Oh yeah, and rightfully so. You did such a great job. And Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, is actually the one I visit most of all of them because of just how fun and fast paced the whole film is compared to a lot of the other ones who are a little bit slower. But this was also, I think, one of the first ones I saw. I think I saw Part 2 first, then this one, and then the first one. So this one definitely has a special place in my heart. And now for you, Tom, where did it kind of all begin with you with acting and whatnot?
Well, I was out of high school, kind of floundering, and was dating this girl, and she turned to me and goes, "Why don't you become an actor?" And I was like, "That's what I'll do." So it was literally that moment. So I started studying and started doing I did print work for about a year, and then I started doing a bunch of commercials, and was very fortunate. I was like booking every 10th commercial I went up on, so which was great. And then my first film was The Woman in Red. Had a walk on that opposite Charles Grodin, and then Return of the Living Dead, and then Albert Pune movies. And then a year later, after I got Return, I did Friday the 13th, auditioned, got a call back, went to Paramount, and everybody was there. Tom McLaughlin was there, but don't ask me where he was sitting at, because it's just, just a kind of a blur.
Yeah.
25 people in the room. And then just, was off to Georgia to go film.
Wow, that's awesome.
Amazing.
Dean, I'll let you throw a couple of questions. I know you got some over there.
Yeah, sure. So, CJ, how did the role of Jason come around? I hear you was working or managing a nightclub, and
It was a massage parlor. It was a
massage parlor, right?
Yes.
Oh, I think I know the place. Yeah. And you were spotted playing Jason. Jason was already an iconic character by that point, and you were spotted playing him in a nightclub. So how did that go down? How did the role sort of come around?
Yeah, I was the GM of a club in LA. It was a large 15,000 square foot club, and we had a hypnotist on Thursday nights. And Tom has heard this before, and it just happened they were doing a shoot. They wanted to put him on tape so he could get a promo tape. The company he used was a company called Real Effects, and Real Effects just happens to be a special effects company that did Part 4 with Ted White. Wow. So they told the hypnotist, hey, what do you think about putting CJ's big ass, so to speak, in Ted's wardrobe? He's the right size. Yeah. And he could come through the screen and scare your subjects, because they're making a very nice production of this so that he can go out and look for work outside of just nightclubs. And when I came through the screen, it tore apart. It was just one of those things where the people from Real Effects, we're going to cast you for Jason. And you kind of look at them and laughing, whatever. It's not your intent, number one. And about 4 months later, I got a call to come meet, the stunt coordinator. And, I went down to Paramount, met Frank Mancuso Jr. and of course, Tom McLaughlin, the writer director. Wow. But I didn't get the job. So I was, okay, that's fun. I had a good time meeting everybody, had no expectations. I was just, this is fun. And then within just a few days, the first shots came back from the gentleman that took the position, and he just didn't meet the criteria as far as the impact of how he looked on screen. So I got a call on a Thursday, and Friday I agreed. And Monday morning, I was on my way to see Tom in Covington, Georgia.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's crazy.
That's amazing.
It is a crazy story.
Yeah, that really, really is.
How did you when you finally got the part of Jason? How did you kind of prepare for the role? Did you kind of watch the previous movies and study the movements, or did you kind of come up with your own sort of way of carrying the character?
Yeah, I wish I could say yes to the answer, but the answer is actually I didn't do anything. I just put the wardrobe on and went to work. Yeah, I just went to work. I didn't think anything of the past per se. I didn't even see any of the others, because Tom McLaughlin was quite clear the way he wanted his product to look, and it was pretty simple as far as I was concerned. I'd only been on the military a short period, and I still walked around like I was somebody important. So they put the hockey mask on me. It just emphasized that importance even more. And I was, again, fortunate, lucky, and I got to work with people like Tom Mathews and others that are professionals. So it made me even look better at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, amazing. And now you're a legend. You're a legend.
Yeah, in my own mind.
Yeah, I can imagine you fitting the bill. So I've met you at a convention before, and you are a big dude.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm 6'3", 250, so I'm actually just a couple pounds bigger than I was for Friday the 13th. I was 245 when I did the movie 36 years ago. So physical structure wise, when Tom and I do convention together, sometimes I'll put the wardrobe on and we'll do wardrobe photos with the fans.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Structurally, I'm the same size. Even Tom kind of looks at me, Tom Mathews, and goes, it looks like, I think when you're under a wardrobe,
Yeah.
Nobody knows you got a little bit of silver going on,
I would have
Just
guessed
creeping.
you were taller than 6'3". If anybody would have asked me, I would have said 6'5" easy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm about like 6'1", so you're a little bit taller than me, but just being there next to you, like I felt really, really small.
Right,
I felt
exactly.
so small. And it was awesome though. Such a
I'm
great
about
time.
6'1" when I'm wearing heels, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What kind of heels? You're kind of letting yourself out there. What kind of heels?
I don't really wear heels. I don't
Yeah,
really
don't go
wear heels.
there.
I take him
You
down
open the
to that
door,
massage parlor you were talking about earlier on to the
There you
hills.
go.
Yeah. Tom, I wanted to ask you, what was it like having to portray Tommy, who was kind of already a solidified character, even though it was a younger one, and you coming into this super like fast-paced Friday the 13th? Like, was there like a lot of pressure, or did you kind of feel like
No,
you
there
you
wasn't a
had
lot of
this?
pressure. Unlike CJ, though, I did my research. Okay, and I went and looked through, 1 through 5, and particularly concentrating on Corey and oh shoot, Corey and the other guy.
I always forget the name, so don't ask
No,
me.
no, I know who it is. John and John Shepard. And I was looking for mannerisms that I could, cross over, whether they had a twitch or something that they did, but there was nothing that they did. So I just kind of did my own thing. A lot of it is like for CJ, it's when you put on the wardrobe and stuff, it kind of, feeds the character and you can get lost into the character that way. So that was helpful. And the script, the writing, I mean, it's all on the page, a lot of it, and you read
Yeah.
between the lines, and so emotionally it tells you where to go. And Tom wrote a great script, had a lot of character development, I think, for the first
Yeah.
time. And I think that's why it's a lot of people's favorite, is because you have people to root for, and there's kind of a love interest going on, and there's a lot of optimism.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree in all of
That
that.
opening sequence, forget about it. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
before the credits roll,
Yeah, you're right into it,
kicks
and
ass.
yeah.
it's great. And that kind of leads to my next question too. With you, CJ, what was it like? You essentially being a Frankenstein monster, being resurrected the exact same way. Because this movie is very much like a universal monster film. That's why I love this one so much. There's so many like nods to that. So, what is
Yeah,
it
it's
like?
actually,
Being kind of related to that.
yeah, it's very true because Tom McLaughlin is a Universal horror fan, and I am. I still have all the movies
Oh
and
yeah,
watch them
nice.
periodically because they're magical. So to be, I'm the only Jason that gets to have an opening scene like James Bond. I'm the only
Yes.
Jason that gets to come back to life like Frankenstein. I'm the only Jason that gets to have a rock and roll Hall of Famer, Alice Cooper, do the music. And I'm the only Jason that gets to wear a Batman utility belt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I got these extra features that I was fortunate enough, not to mention the fact that the older generation or my generation really can connect with the universal horror, the Frankensteins and the werewolves, the mummies of the world. And then as it crossed over into, I call the Three Musketeers, Michael Myers and Freddy and Jason, and of course, Leatherface, Four Musketeers, I guess. We've been really blessed because they started in 78, I think was Mikey, and it just continued through 2022 with the last Halloween. So what a ride to be part of and enjoy.
Oh yeah. This legacy is everywhere, and with you guys being so iconic to a really large series, and you are two faces that everybody recognizes immediately. I know we kind of touched on it before, but like, is there anything else that you guys feel from the legacy of Friday the 13th and being Jarvis and being Jason? Is there anything else that you guys can pull from that, or are you just so grateful for all the fans and everything?
Well, for me
Yeah.
personally, I mean, until I retired 5 years ago, I spent the 25 years after running casino resorts. So I'd already made my disconnect and reconnection about 5 years ago after I was finished with the gaming industry and moved into a retirement mode. And then I was able to fortunately do a few projects and work with 13th Fanboy and Vengeance, to say a couple that was fortunate for me because it was fun. And I looked at it more as a entertainment than it was a reward monetarily. So Thom and I took different paths. He's been doing this for decades now successfully. And to come back full circle for me to work with him and see him, I've had the pleasure of meeting his wife, Carla, and of course seeing, Darcy and everybody else out there on the circuit from part 6, not to mention, my rivalry there, Kane Hodder, and a few other people that I get to see on a regular basis.
Oh, wow. What about you, Thom?
What was the question?
Oh, just like if there was anything else that you could take from the legacy, like is there anything else that that?
Well, the whole, it's incredible that the whole franchise is kind of brought together, which is kind of cool. I mean, we're all friends with Kane now, and if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't even have a career because I dug it, Jason back out.
Yeah, exactly.
He paid me a nice compliment. He goes, they can't think of Jason without thinking of you as Tommy Jarvis, and that was pretty enlightening and very cool of him to say that, because he didn't have to do that. But it's like a big family, and it's just amazing that we all get to hang out and still do this and travel all over the world and do it and stuff. So it's been fun.
Yeah, totally. Dean, anything that you want to knock off your docket over there, man?
Oh yeah, man. I was just going to say, you guys were talking about Universal Monsters a minute ago, and you being a fan, CJ. My dad used to be Boris Karloff's paperboy.
and when you say that, there's that connectivity that you just said. My father was, and we started talking about Universal. It's one of those things that it's not a common subject at the copy machine at the office. However, if somebody brings up horror movies or Friday the 13th, it'd be surprised how many people go, "Oh, I love Friday the 13th. Oh, I love Halloween." But it's not a normal conversation or dialogue at the board table.
Yeah.
But as soon as somebody breaks the ice, you'd be surprised how many people will go, "Oh," I mean, even my orthopedic surgeon, she's a horror fan.
Wow. That's scary.
Yeah, especially. But I mean, you think about it, it's very rewarding, and really for me, and I think Thom too, when I say this, is an honor to have a part that's been so iconic. And no matter where you go, Thom's a little different. They recognize his face. Me, they don't recognize my face, but as soon as you say Friday the 13th or show them a hockey mask, they can put two and two together real fast.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And Thom, you have that voice too. It's very iconic. It's just everything. Both of you have so many pieces of yourselves that are so iconic that anybody can notice. Like, oh yeah, they're from that movie. That's right.
Yeah.
CJ was talking about his gynecologist earlier, and my son. I ain't
gonna touch that because they're recording this stuff. I'm just gonna zip it. They're recording. Thom, when we were younger, nobody had tape on us, but now they got us. You got to be careful.
My son, he's a gamer, and he'll play with people all over the country and stuff like that. And then I don't know how it even comes up that they find out that I'm his father, and they just like freak out. So it just comes from all different directions. The fans. It's just amazing. It just
that's awesome though. Wow.
It's really cool.
That's so cool. CJ, you mentioned 13 Fanboy, and you got to work with La Park Lincoln, Kane Hodder, Corey Feldman, and Dee Wallace. How was that? How was it working with Dee Wallace? She's a legend in the horror game.
It was wonderful. That was my first time to actually do a project after I stopped the casino industry. When I was doing the quote unquote stunt acting, I did the Friday the 13th, and like Thom, was very fortunate to do some national commercials and then into Highway to Hell as Hell Cop. And then, realistically, I knew 6'3", 250 wasn't your common principal. Thom's a normal sized man, and he's bigger than Tom Cruise. So he's actually a little taller than most lead men at the end of the day. Thom Mathews, I'm talking about. But my big butt, there was no way, it was going to pull. Like today, you do have The Rock. Lou Ferrigno was just a blink back in the Hulk, and well deserved. It should be more deserved as of today. He's still 6'3", 6'4", 260, and but at those days, big people like that or Arnold Schwarzenegger, there was just a few simple roles. So I was realistic when back in the casino industry. But 13 Fanboy, working with Dee and working with Corey and everybody, was enlightening to me. It was my first time, in fact, that I got a project like that, and I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Again, like I said earlier, I get to do it as an enjoyment factor. Yes, you get paid a couple dollars, but at the end of the day, it's fun because I just go buy a hamburger and have fun with it. Probably when I was younger and I was still making car payments and those type of things, I might have been a little more principal enthusiasm for me. But now I can just, Thom can call me and say, hey, let's go do a project. And I say, okay, what days?
Oh, awesome.
And, I can take off.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's great,
awesome.
man.
Absolutely awesome.
That's great. And a question for you, Thom. You provided the voice for Tommy in the Friday the 13th game. Was that a fun project to work on?
It was. They added me after the fact. I think all the fans wanted my character in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they contacted me, and I said, okay, a couple of things. I just want to have a superpower. So they gave me the shotgun.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
I told them I wanted a photo approval.
Yeah.
And so it took them like 6 times. The first one they sent me for my approval, I had black hair and a 5 o'clock shout on a J Lo.
Right.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like 6 times by the time we ended up doing that one. And I asked them for payment if every time someone chooses the Tommy Jarvis or becomes Tommy Jarvis, I get 10 cents.
There
Right.
you go.
It doesn't hurt to ask. Right?
That's great.
I didn't go for it, but I
it's worth a shot. So were you pretty hands-on with the design of the character with the game?
No,
then?
it was basically 2 hours just putting my voice to what they had on the screen, and then
Right.
some wild lines, and that was basically it. But
Right.
and then the photo, choice and stuff.
Yeah, I remember
Very cool.
backing
That's
that
about
game
it.
too, very, very early on, and,
Ah.
and playing it, and then seeing you be added, and seeing all the other Jason skins being added. So like CJ, you're in there as a skin and everything, and it's so fun, even till this day. Even though it's been out for a long time, but there's still a really big fan base that plays that game, and always seeing Tommy going around with a shotgun and going after Jason. Especially if it's someone in like the CJ like get up and then it's you. It's so fun to watch, even if I'm spectating. So it is a really, really fun game. And like you guys were saying earlier, it is a great way to get a younger generation.
It's amazing what
into
it's
Friday the
done for
13th.
the franchise. Yeah.
My son's
Absolutely.
made friends on there that he still goes online and talks to as well. He made friends with a little boy called Morph, and he goes on there and they chat. Yeah. They were both
morphing
playing the
time.
Friday. They were both playing the Friday the 13th game, and then they kept coming back and arranging to meet back up in the cabin. And yeah, it's crazy.
They made a good team.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it's funny.
So CJ, did they ever contact you for doing any kind of like motion capture or anything like that, or was that somebody that was outside? I don't know like what your involvement was with the game.
It was actually Kane.
It
He
was
did
all
all
him.
that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did all that, and he just did it last year, I believe, for Leatherface too.
Oh yeah, I'm
so-
excited for that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, people forget he was pretty engaged in that quite a bit all the way through, from conception to birth, so to speak. So that would be Kane.
All right.
The nice thing, like you said, I get to reap the rewards that I understand a lot of people use the Part 6 character, Jason, as a result of, because he has so many weapons to
Yeah.
choose from.
And
And
he's a
that makes him
zombie.
a little more different.
Well, and I think the chain, I always see him with the chain on too. That was the final shot in the movie. So that's,
It's interesting, Thom. You say that. Chris just said recently, maybe we should think about getting the hockey mask that has the gouge on the side from the end of the movie with the propeller with you and me, and the chain, and put it around my neck for photo ops for a
that'd be
different
so
view.
great
sick.
idea. That'd be great.
That'd be
So-
so sick. And another game too that I always forget. Mortal Kombat. Was it Mortal Kombat X? Jason's in that one too, and they had the chain one. So you're portrayed in multiple games, and I think there's even some comic books out there that like fans have made too. So there's just so much, and we got the toys too. I got this one. I've had this one forever.
Those are action figures. Get it straight.
Yeah, action figures.
Yeah.
So both of you are being immortalized in so many other ways. I mean, you already were, being filmed and being, on
Right.
screens everywhere, but being on a toy,
Nice.
that must be so crazy. Action figures, it must be so crazy, and I'm sure there has to be fans that bring you all of their collectibles to sign. So that must be
Sure.
awesome to see and have that kind of connection.
Yeah, it is. They've got one where CJ and I are underwater and there's like bubbles,
Yeah.
oxygen in my mouth. Been trying to get that one for a while. That's a very cool one.
That's cool.
Is that an action figure too, CJ? Would that be
We
considered?
call those action figures from the gynecologist.
Dolls. Call them
Dolls.
dolls.
No. Dolls. All right. Well, let me help you just so you know, because I don't want you to embarrass yourself. Over your right shoulder, you got a little thing of Mikey Myers.
Yeah.
You see it? Yeah, I just want to let you know that real men use a machete, not an Outback steak knife.
Yeah, I know.
I was trying to help you in the future in case you interview somebody, you might want to take that down. Kane would come through the computer right now and take you out.
Oh, please don't. No.
That's not Michael Myers. That's William Shatner.
Yeah, you're right. Those are all wrong. And actually, speaking of Universal, I have a werewolf mask right there too.
Nice. You know, one thing I'll tell you, and Thom has heard me say this. One thing about the Friday the 13th, for nobody really knows, you know, which CJ or Kane, the guys behind the mask per se. But I always tell if you went over to India and they got like 1.3 billion people in India, you show them a picture of Tom Cruise, they're all going to give you a thumbs up. They know who he is. You show them a picture of CJ Graham or Kane Hodder, they're going to look at you and shrug. But if you turn the picture around to the hockey mask, they're all going to know Jason.
Oh yeah,
as a character.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, he's up there with the greats. You got the three main. You got Freddie, Jason, Michael. They're the top, the head honchos.
Yeah,
I'd say definitely.
And Tommy Jarvis too. You know, he's
and Tommy Jarvis, of course.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean,
well, Tommy's the only one that lived. Let's talk about it.
Yep, for three movies.
Right.
Yeah. Great. Dean, whatever else you got? I know you have a ton of questions over this.
I'm just going through the list. I met both of you guys at conventions. CJ, I think I met you at the London Film and Comic Con. Oh, I can't remember if it was before the pandemic or after the pandemic. I can't remember. I lose track of time. Thom, I met you. Was it before? Right. Okay. Yeah. Thom, I met you at For the Love of Horror in Manchester. And CJ, I know you were there as well. Mm-hmm. But I was actually vending that weekend, so I didn't get a lot of time to leave the stand. But I was like, Thom, I've met CJ before. Thom Mathews is here. I haven't met Thom ever. So you was like, right, top of my list, man. So it was great to meet you. How do you find the horror fans when you come to these conventions? And have you ever had any bizarre fan experiences? People turning up in... People, sorry, that was for you. Start me, you, CJ.
Yeah. For me, not anything abnormal. I mean, I've had a 4-year-old come up to me wearing a hood, that's barely 3 feet tall, holding a hatchet, all excited to get a picture with Jason, which I thought was odd.
That's so awesome.
But at the same time, I'm nothing. Nothing abnormal. I mean, everybody is so great. Usually you're standing in line for quite a period of time to get to us.
Mm-hmm.
And Thom, he's usually next to me or I'm next to him, however you want to look at it. And he's the same as I am, man. We jump up, take selfies, answer questions as though it'd be the first time we ever got the same question, even though we may have answered 1,000,000 times, because for that guest, for that fan, it's the first time and they've been waiting to ask that question.
Exactly.
So we both, I can tell when we do this, we both take time and make sure that the VIPs are the people standing in front of us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and that's how it should be too, So I agree on that. How about you, Thom? Anything weird?
Anything weird?
Sit next to me.
I think some guy had me sign his shoulder. And then I went walking around and he's getting my signature tattooed on his arm. So that was probably the weirdest thing and great thing,
You probably got it tattooed for sure.
I got a question. It's a good question for Thom because I don't know the answer. I know my answer. What's the oddest thing you've ever signed, Thom? I mean, mine is somebody took off their prosthetic leg and had me sign it.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
wow.
The oddest thing I've ever signed,
besides an arm.
nothing like that. Nothing unusual. like that.
Wow.
You know,
the fans come up with sometimes they come up with a lot of stuff they made, and young folks, they come up with drawings and crayon drawings, and they're only 7, 8, 9 years old, and they barely can still color inside the lines, but they're so excited that they've painted or used crayons and made Jason with a spear that they can't wait to get to you. So to me, it's an honor. I save them all when they give them to me.
I have a lot of them too. It's
Stacks.
pretty cool.
I mean, I save
awesome.
everything they
Yeah.
give me
Yeah.
without hesitation.
Wow.
That's so cute.
I
CJ, I bet you've signed a ton of masks as well, CJ.
I wanted to show you this, so I was going to reach over and grab it. See, like this. Can you see that?
Oh, that's really
Yeah.
cute.
It's just
That's awesome.
some young person, 10 years
Wow.
old, made it in school and gave it to me. I
That's
thought it was really cool.
that's what it's all
Yeah.
about, like
Yeah.
you did these films, and a lot of actors that we've talked to or read about, they're very like hesitant of going to these conventions. They're like, I don't know if anybody's gonna know me. That's the craziest thing to think of, like especially in like this day and age. Everybody knows you. Like there's somebody out there that has seen this film or project that you are part of. So just take that little leap, and guaranteed you're gonna have at least one person there. And I think that's what is really important at the end of the day, to see all these people who are still supporting this thing so many years later, and revisiting it and seeing it through a game, seeing in a comic book or fan films or whatever it may be. It's great for like Dean and I, because we live for this stuff. We love horror so much, and Friday the 13th has been a big part of my life, especially growing up. I hate to say it, but Halloween was the first horror movie I ever really saw. So I had like a really big attachment to that. I'm sorry.
Oh
Oh no, we lost him.
breaking up. You're breaking up.
But Friday the 13th was the second thing I was ever introduced to, and when I saw Jason Lives, I was so awed. Like, it's such a beautiful film. It's so colorful. Like, all the other ones are really colorful too, but this one has had more of an attitude to it. It was so fast paced. Crazy. There was cars going everywhere, like electricity everywhere, flames, crazy things, people in water, and it was such a great time. Every time I watch it, it's like I'm reliving it for the first time, and like I'm still pinching myself that I have you two here, and I really do have to thank Dean for kind of setting this up, because I don't know if I would have ever been able to do this on my own.
I think it was Return of the Living Dead for me was one of the first horrors that I watched way back in the day, man.
So
what because my stepfather used to run a VHS video shop when I was a kid during the 80s, and that's kind of how I got into horror. And it was actually, there's an artist called Graham Humphreys. I don't know if you guys know Graham Humphreys, and he did that amazing artwork for the front cover of Return of the Living Dead. He did like the Evil Dead, the Nightmare on Elm Street. We've actually become friends with Graham over the years from like vending at events. And I always say to him, it's because of you when I was a kid, and I used to go into the video store and I used to see these crazy covers, and I was just kind of drawn towards the artwork and would just be like, what's on it? What is this? What is this thing? And I remember watching Return of the Living Dead and just being like, what? Wow, what's that?
That's a great film.
Thom, man, fucking crazy film. Good. So going back to Jason Lives, did either of you guys sustain any injuries whilst you were on the set? Anybody get hurt?
I did. I had a couple of things. When I'm stabbing Jason in the chest to make sure he's dead, maggots are popping out of his eyes and stuff. The special effects guy wanted it was after the lightning struck.
Okay.
So there was smoke coming off the spear.
Mm-hmm.
And the wind, they had a fan blowing, and the guy was spraying it. It was going right in my eyes. And I'm like, what is that?
Oh, no.
It was acid or something,
Whoa.
It turned out not to be, but didn't know. But my substantial injury was when CJ jumped up out of the grave and was grabbing me, and I kept kicking him.
Oh.
My boots were heavy, so it hyperextended my left knee.
Oh, no.
So I had water on my knee for 5-6 years, and then I just chalked it up it was going to be an injury I would have to sustain, but it just disappeared after that long, and I was surprised. But that
Oh
was about
wow, that's rough. And
it.
CJ, were
Yeah,
you
yeah.
okay being kicked?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get injured or anything. I had some bruises here and there, but I mean, at the time I was probably on cloud 18 when it came to testosterone rush. So nothing really sunk in and still doesn't, at the time. I mean, the biggest thing that I thought was just going through the doors and going through the walls to make sure that I got that first step down, to make sure that I didn't twist my ankle or blow my knee out as I'm going through, because you're kind of going through with one eye, number one, no
Yeah.
peripheral vision, number two. And when we were going through the wall to step down to Megan, there was give or take 10-inch step down, and you got to get your knee through the wall and get that first step, to make sure that you make contact so you don't go down. Plus, of course, it's expensive to set the wall back up for another shoot. So was
Mm.
anything I got hurt? Maybe I don't know, because I didn't know enough to be dangerous. I'd never done a stunt in my life, never been to
Yeah.
stunt school. So everything that they were doing to me was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
New.
yeah. So the adrenaline's rushing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're in the moment.
It's fun being physical.
Was it difficult with the water scenes? Was it difficult having to shoot that stuff, or was it kind of I don't know, fluent with both of you? Was that taxing? I imagine it must have been.
We shot the on the water at Camp Daniel Morgan on location. We did the underwater stuff in controlled environment and pools, and the water was pretty warm. When we were underwater, your ears had to get acclimated, but other than that, I mean, we were under there for sometimes 30 minutes at a time shooting, and then we had a scuba guy with our oxygen who would feed both of us when we wanted it, and we'd just hit our chest when we were ready for some oxygen. So that was a lot of fun and new and dangerous all at the same time, but that was pretty cool.
Wow, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think, and Thom can attest that, the interesting thing for me is, I'm in full wardrobe. There's 2 center blocks down at the bottom of the dive pool, so they could always relocate me to the same exact location.
Yeah.
And the chain was real. Now the chain is tightened up around my neck, as you probably can see, and I'm wearing gloves, and it's a 20-foot diving pool. So if nobody wants to come give me air, there's no way
Oh
I could get that chain unhooked, unscrewed, and get to the surface, because by the time I'm requesting air, I'm 5 seconds from panic.
Could you swim up to the surface because you had your wardrobe on? And that
No, the 2 divers would bring me
pounds.
up and then bring me over to the edge, and then I'd hold on to the edge and watch that little monitor, and then they'd take me back down and put me back on those 2 center blocks for a location.
That's scary.
Yeah, I would be freaking out. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh
But
man.
at that time I didn't, it's just okay. And you can't see because they had the black tarp all the way around the dive pool, and I still have one eye. So I'm just listening for the cue that the camera's clicking away, and then Tom's holding on to me, and we just kind of both went for it until one of us ran out of air as a signal. And then I really still couldn't see anything. I'm underwater, so they'd cram that regulator in my mouth and clear it, and I would just breathe, catch my breath, and do it again. Would I do it now? Probably not. I have a spaz attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. I love hearing stories about that though, because you obviously don't really see that on screen. Like obviously you guys are fighting, but hearing like the real life things, what you have to go through is always really interesting.
There's a lot of technical stuff people don't realize when it comes to acting and to make it look natural, like you've been doing it 100 times or whatever, just you have to hit your mark and
And believe it or not, we had a couple marks underwater because of course they're shooting point of view, both sides, front, back. But even the one point where Tommy allegedly runs out of breath, I mean, I remember using my hand just to push his boot up slowly so he would look like he's rising to the top of the water.
Oh, that's cool.
And do it in time so that he's got air to get until he stops and signals, to indicate that the fight scene is over. And then he fluffed up on the top, as you recall. And, it was interesting. Very well shot. We did that all night long, one night.
One night.
You would go to jail for that nowadays.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah, they would have to do that. That would be like a whole week worth of shooting. Doing that in one night. Wow, that's
Yeah, one night, that one scene. Now the lake scenes, we did that at that location. The underwater for the motorboat, we did that in Tom McLaughlin's backyard of his mom and dad in their pool. And then
Wow.
the fire scene we did in I think it was like 5 foot deep pool, big one for kids. That's where we did all the fire burns.
okay. Wow, that's
Wow.
so interesting to hear. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dean, I don't know if you have anything else you want to throw
Yeah,
in.
I've got a couple more. So, CJ, were you approached during the casting for any of the other Jason roles? Like, they were like Freddy versus Jason or anything like that? Did they?
Mhm. Well, King will tell you the same thing. I was slotted for part 7.
Yep.
So when it came online, Paramount was already going to move with me because the satisfaction. But um, Kane, huge horror man, great stunt guy, number one,
Yeah.
and he had worked with John, the director, before, and Kane loves horror. And to be
Yeah.
fair, he's been a great ambassador for the last 35 years of this industry
Yeah.
of
For sure.
Jason. But he had to go to John. John had to say, "Yeah, I want to use you." Then John had to go to Paramount to Frank Mancuso Jr. to get it approved to flip over. So, did it bother me? Not at all, because I never went to Hollywood to be an actor, so it never really okay.
Mm.
Like I said, I went back in the casino industry. I got a call from management about interest in Jason versus Freddy.
Mm.
But I got to be fair, I thought it was kind of weird that they didn't use Kane after 4
Yeah.
times. But at the same time, you know what? The coach puts whoever they want to put in as quarterback. It's not my call.
Yeah.
However, at the time, I was the chief operating officer, general manager of 2 casinos in Coachella Valley,
Mm.
California, and I wasn't going to leave a job making X to
Yeah.
Mm.
make a quick, maybe, I don't know, few dollars to do Jason and not
Yeah.
have the position I had. So that was kind of a no-brainer. I passed on that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Right
Wow.
on. Would you, if aside from Jason, because you've mastered Jason, if you had a shot at kind of playing any other characters or any in particular that you thought over the years, I'd love to have a bash at that or Leatherface or I don't know, anything, any in particular.
Well, if going back to 86, 87, 88, 89, if there had been an opportunity, because I was big, I don't care about my face being seen. I thought it would have been kind of cool to play Leatherface and then play Michael
Mm.
Myers and
Mm.
Jason throughout those 4 or 5 years, to be able to sit down and say I did all 3 of those,
Yeah, that'd be
kind
cool.
of like Frankenstein, Dracula, the werewolf, etc. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but again, in those days, there wasn't management for that type of character or figure or stunt or oversized person like me.
Yeah.
So again, now I had the opportunity a few years ago to do an independent fan film in Vengeance, where I played, they created Jason's father, Elias Voorhees,
Okay. Yep.
which was great. And then they did a number 2 here, Tom, about a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
in which Tom and I both were in it. Again, I played Elias Voorhees, and Tommy played Tommy Jarvis. Tom played Tommy
Mm.
Jarvis,
Mhm.
which was a resurrection for him to get in there. And there's a nice little spin at the end where Tommy gets his brains knocked out and delusional, so to speak, and all of a sudden it falls back into Jason Part 6, where I put the
Oh.
wardrobe back on in Vengeance 2, and Tommy thinks he's fighting with Jason Lives, and then he gets his melon back, and he realizes he's fighting with Jason Brooks, who plays Jason in Vengeance.
Oh
Wow.
wow, that's really cool. I want to say I did watch those, but it's been a
That's okay. I didn't
while.
listen to your show either. Look at Tommy. Sounds like, yeah. Throw that knife.
Tom, I wanted to ask you. This is kind of like the same thing that Dean just asked CJ, but it kind of like reversed. If you could pick somebody else for you to go up against, like if you had to be the one person fighting off this whole entity, who would you want to fight off?
Bruce Campbell for sure.
Really? Oh, that
Oh
would
yeah.
be a really funny one. I mean, you both got the shotgun.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head who I'd go up against. The Predator would have been cool to go up against the Predator. Alien would have been fun.
A giant crossover. We'll get Jason, Alien, and Predator, and then we'll have
There you go.
Ash coming at the very end, and he'll be like the final
Ash.
one. Awesome.
Tom, I was going to ask you about this. This is nothing to do with Friday the 13th. You've had a movie due to come out for a while called Go Away. What's happening with that, man? It looks so good.
They're massaging the crap out of it. I don't know what's taking them so long. I get that final summers come out. We shot that about, pretty close to the same time.
Oh, I've been
They're
actually
always
really paying attention to
coming
Final
out.
Summer.
I think they dropped the trailer. I think he's finishing up the final, cut on it. I saw him at a convention, surprisingly, and asked him what was going on with that.
Yeah.
And then this Friday the 13th, we got the teaser for Never Hike Alone 2's dropping. So that's happening this Friday. So that'll be fun to look at that.
Right
we
on.
shot it up in Portland, just a 5-minute teaser for what we're going to film in a few months over the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
It's a very
timing
cool-
for.
It's a very cool teaser. It's me. I go walking out to this dock at Camp Crystal Lake, and there's a kid sitting out there. You just see his back, and he's out there fishing. And I go down and I say, I told you not to come down here alone. He goes, I'm just fishing. I said, I know, but I told you not to, it's not safe for you to be down here by yourself. He goes, okay, is it because of Jason? And then it goes on. I won't spoil it, but it goes on from there. And it,
Awesome.
I turn out to be talking to myself, my younger version of Tommy Jarvis.
Oh, wow. That's actually a really
Wow,
good.
cool.
So that'll be fun to watch.
Definitely something for everybody to be looking out for.
For sure.
Very cool.
So I have another thing. This is something that's recently happened. I know you guys knew that there was that lawsuit that was going on with the ownership of who's owning, Friday the 13th. But now that that's over, and I believe they're starting to do a show. I think it's the next thing they have doc to come out. So if you guys could, would you jump back into the actual Friday the 13th franchise, like in show form or some other kind of like spin-off? Like, would you both reprise your roles?
I would, yeah, for sure. I would reprise my roles. I wouldn't come in as a different character, for sure.
Yeah, I think Thom Mathews has the opportunity to come back as a resurrection because he's never really died, so he's readily available to come in one form or another. I've been asked that question if I would resurrect Jason again, because technically it'll be part 13. So it better be damn good, whatever they decide to do. But to be honest, I'd love to do it. But two things, and I don't mean to be, difficult, but I don't go to space. Okay. I ain't going to outer space. So if it's outer space, don't call me. But if I can deliver the project as good or better than the Jason I did in part 6, I'd love to. But if I couldn't deliver a product of quality personally, then I'd have to let the right person step in and
It all depends
represent
on
us
the
all.
script, for sure.
Yeah, because I'm older. I just got my knee replaced last year, so it feels great, but I'm not sure I could do all the same stunts that I did. I mean, set on fire and fights and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I don't really know what I could or really couldn't do at this point. I mean, I'm older, obviously. I'm still reasonably, structured wise, like I said, I'm 6'3", 250. You see me in wardrobe tomorrow, you just go, it's the same guy, from 1986, because again, you don't get to see all this silver. But if I couldn't do a good product, I don't want to be the has-been or the all-star player that comes back and goes to step on the court and or the football field and can't deliver a product. But if I could deliver it, snap, me and Tommy would have a good time. Mr. Mathews and I'd be kicking heels again.
Yeah, this is something I was just thinking of. So Thom, say you do come back. Say they're like, hey, Thom, I want you to come back. I want you to do Tommy Jarvis. And you're like, yeah, cool. And you need to come back, and it's everybody who has played Jason are all Jason. You have to go up against all of them, including CJ and everybody else. That would be something. That's what they need to do. You need to come back and fight every version of Jason.
Something epic like that. Yeah.
Well, we've had this conversation as the Jasons. It'd be kind of great if the Jasons would just have their cameos as, let's just say I'm a bus driver. Like this.
Yeah, that would be fun.
And whoever the new Jason in whacks me. And Kane Hodder is, whatever, a mechanic, and the new Jason whacks him. So everybody gets a cameo because they're all going to want to see what the Jasons looked like. So there's part of your marketing draw.
Yeah.
Thom Mathews coming back as Tommy Jarvis, there's another interpolal marketing draw within, and you can externalize that to a point where everybody's just going to see how they've connected the dots from part 13 for the launching platform to the continuance of the series.
That would be epic.
Yeah,
Mm.
you sold me on that. So whoever's writing that right now, let me know, and I'll be there. Whether at the festivals you're going to be doing it or
you know, my name is CJ Graham. I approve this message, and Jason 2024.
Yes, awesome. Yes, let's get CJ on that for sure. This has been a blast. Dean, I don't know if you have any last questions you want to throw out.
I'm good, man. We let these gentlemen off the hook.
Yeah, I mean,
we're done.
Listening to the stories and hearing both of you talk just about everything, and just having you here is such a monumental moment for me, and I'm sure it is for Dean too. And anybody else listening and watching, this is a blast. And we would love to have you guys back on for any other future projects you guys got coming out, or anything else you want to talk about. Great. And I consider both of you friends now of the show, and this is
Absolutely
been great. It really has been. And
thanks for having us.
will be released on Friday the 13th. So
Nice. Happy Friday the 13th, everybody out there.
Yes.
Awesome.
And CJ, you guys are legends, and don't ever forget that. I know you won't, but I'm just letting you know. Please don't ever forget that. You guys are immortal.
Appreciate it.
I'm
great. And
honestly, I'm honored, and I appreciate it. I've got Thom. Thom, again, thank you for the fantastic Friday the 13th wine for Christmas.
oh, that's
welcome.
awesome.
You know, so we
That's
do
cool.
get to see each other, and I enjoy the experiences that I've got to do since the Friday the 13th with these actors and actresses over the years.
Awesome. Dean, once again, thank you so much for reaching out to both of these amazing gentlemen and getting this all put together and for everybody to listen to and watch. So thank you.
Here's my little
Enjoy.
alternate. There I am.
Yeah.
There he is.
Oh man, if that starts moving, you might want to run.
Well, happy Friday
No,
the 13th.
true story.
everybody.
It's a full mannequin, just and every once in a while it falls forward.
Oh no,
Uh-huh.
I'm out the door.
Did you ever walk into the room and just see peripherally thinking it's someone
My
else?
wife, Ruby, Ruby, she freaks out when she walks by my office and she
Sure.
sees that back there.
I'm
She
sure.
just can't deal with it.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
Maybe sitting at your desk one of these days. Oh man.
That'd be a good gag. Anyway, thanks for having us, and happy Friday the 13th, everybody. And again, thanks for all
Thanks a lot,
the
guys.
fan support and stuff. It's been amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you,
is-
everybody.
Thanks so much, guys.
We'll see you all at a convention soon, I hope.
Yeah, this has been
Hell
great.
yeah.
So thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see
See you,
everybody.
CJ.
My Thom,
Next
I
time.
look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very
Okay.
much, buddy. I'll see you later. Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
Awesome,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Bye, guys.
Could we ask you guys just very quickly before you go, just because we do a little tagline at the beginning of the show. So do you think you'd like Thom, CJ individually, you could just say, hey, I'm Thom Mathews and you're listening to the Baron's Hideout podcast?
Sure.
Is it called the Baron's Hideout?
The Baron's Hideout, yeah, Baron's Hideout podcast.
Thom, you want to go first? Want me?
Sure.
Me? Oh, I'm sorry. Ready?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, it's CJ Graham, Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th, part 6, and you're listening.
Perfect.
Hey, I don't speak. Thom does all the speaking in this family, for the
We'll see
record.
about that.
Okay, so it's you want to go ahead and what do you say they call it? Baron what?
The Baron's
The
Hideout
Baron's
Baron's
Hideout.
Hideout. It's
See, you even got messed up, and it's your show. All right. Hey, everybody, it's CJ Graham, Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th, part 6, and you're listening to Baron's Hideout podcast with your host. Say it, buddy.
Dustin.
And Dean.
There you go, Thom. You can go ahead now.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, it's Thom Mathews, Friday the 13th, part 6, Tommy Jarvis, and you're listening to the Baron's Hideout podcast. Enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you,
Oh,
guys.
man. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.